how do you get that team to start looking and being part of that process? Should we take a look?
Yeah.
This is the common workflow. Common workflow would be to create a file, potentially a PDF file, email that to a team, try to collect feedback. And we see a lot of challenges in that workflow. And it usually leads to large documents. It's a time-consuming process, and to try to get that feedback, and we hear a lot about teams not really adopting and being potentially more confused.
Yeah.
So when you ask what happened to, or what happens to the BIM execution plan, did you get that email I sent? Did you get that file I sent by email?
No, I didn't.
No. It's very easy to ignore something that's...
Even if they admit that they did see it, we kind of get the most common answer that they didn't read it or understand it, or it was just too long. They didn't know what their scope was. So there's a lot of excuses and a lot of excuses that we get, but really, how do we engage them to actually look at it? There's a lot of useful information. How do we get them to view that?
So how do we? Do you know these slides? How do we engage the team? How do we do that? Well, few tips.
Yeah, create a central hub. So as we mentioned earlier, project information, contact details, and all.
How do you get access to those files that everyone needs on that specific project? So rather than storing sets of links and everything in lots of different places, keep it together, make it easy for teams to find other contact details, for example, and let them keep those contact details up to date rather than you having to manage other people's contact details. How about making it simple? How about using a workflow and a diagram and being able to visualize those standards and those processes, making it a lot more attractive for people to get into?
Engage your team. So being able to get that feedback, having...
And create it together.
Yeah, create it together. So if you can create that together,
Jenny and Ronnie.
It feels less mandated and feels more of a team effort to create a BIM execution plan.
I love it. What a good team. Use video content. Better than a whole 5-page set of text that potentially somebody is not going to read.
Yeah, sometimes you can really save a ton of pages and paper if you use videos. So we see a lot of successful teams using a 1-minute, 2-minute video on how to model something in Revit, how to coordinate something or use a clash detection in Navisworks. If you can do that in a 1-minute, 2-minute video, it's so much more clear than having to write a set of instructions out in 6 pages.
And people will actually watch it.
Yes.
And then use rich content in flowcharts and embed them so they're interactive so that people can actually view them without having to say, I can't read that, it's too grainy. You can embed the live files and even have interactive model walkthroughs as built. This is an example from Matterport being embedded into a BIM execution plan.
Yeah, instead of sending that email somewhere, put it inside your BIM execution plan. People will start to engage and actually look at it.
Absolutely. So we've talked about why we need one, what we would include, and what engaging content that we would include in there.
Right.
But even if we've got one and it's got some nice pretty pictures in, how do we actually